matter is, you're alive because energy flows through you, not because I have a house where I can survive. I have food, therefore I survive. Actually, you survive. The greater truth is you have energy flowing, and you have energy that flows. You have potential. People that get imprisoned, they found that they die if they did not have some sort of creative outlet, if they were not doing some sort of exploration. They spent more money on the health care of inmates than they ever thought they would, and they learned this very quickly. They realized, well, we need to give them a library. We need to give them a chance to walk outside the walls. We can't keep them here for 50 years because they won't live 50 years. They don't talk about it. This is what they figured out in the penitentiary system.
Mm-hmm.
What is this place where we have created an artificial society where it's not so necessary, where the mechanisms of our society are self-imploding like the artificial intelligence does.
Can I ask you a question? Right? Can I ask you a question amongst this?
Yes.
Just while we're on this topic, is that a part of the ascension process for us to get out of this, like, kind of illusion reality, to come back to, like what you were talking about earlier, everyone coming together in unity to kind of ascend, or?
So, as you probably figured it out, not everybody's ascending the same way, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone's in total agreement as to, we're going to put air quotes on this, what ascension is supposed to look like. And that's why it's an ineffable thing to get your hands on exactly. The way that I'm describing it is coming from the Pleiadians' observation, which I've adopted myself.
Okay, yeah.
I test it out myself as I move on. So we can say it holds a great deal of my Pleiadians friends' perspective and whatnot. But going back to answer your question more directly, is this what we're supposed to do so that we have a more unified society? No, that's not necessarily what we're supposed to do. We're not necessarily supposed to fix society. Society is a reflection on an individual basis of each of ourselves. We know ourselves better to be creator when we accept that we're at the center of everything that we personally experience. Now, being at the center of everything you personally experience means that government actually doesn't hold a candle of influence over you versus your influence over you. It's when you believe that government has more influence over you, do you start to say, damn, I hate government.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're really seeing is the experience of your own limiting belief that government is as powerful and over you as you think it is. So in fact, your own belief system of believing government is acting as a strong arm over your freedoms is as a result of you not realizing the inner technology of your body and the inner technology of your spirit guidance and your connection to your soul and your higher being and your inner guidance system. You have multiple guidance systems, from your gut intuition to your dream space, at the high level of it, to multiple ways in which you can connect in very quiet centers of space like meditation or contemplation. You can access lots of intelligence that does not require government to tell you what it means.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it means for you, because it's in your personal language. It's in your personal mechanism. And sometimes we don't understand the language. We say, this is not my language. I don't understand what I'm being shown here. But if your curiosity is sufficient enough, you'll learn how to understand what you're getting and become clearer. And the words like clairaudience will become more succinct. And you may find yourself doing things and speaking as if you're kind of channeling. You're saying, whoa, did I really say that?
Yeah.
And so, well, of course, your soul, you channel your greater self. You can. And anything that you're in great alignment with, you can channel that. So, this place where there is knowledge from beyond an artificial system such as government is where we really own our own humanity and our own experience. And the more that we find this within ourselves, the less we really even become concerned about what government is doing. And actually, the more government will reflect the same process, reflect more of the inward exploration. And religions do this too. It's another form of guidance system that's a bit more spoon-feeding than self-discovery, right?
Yeah.
Because religions also operate on this idea of subtleness and invisible this and that in order to account for everything that's invisible that goes on that is quite mysterious and wonderful, which is just a part of who you are. There's a lot of things that are invisible and wonderful. Everything from the concepts of blessings and prayer to God smiting things and karma this and, greater being this. All these things are a part of your inherent self. And so the more you discover yourself, the more you begin to see that you have the capacity to liberate yourself from any influence that is not preferred. Quite literally. There's a place where, what a court stands for. When you go into like a judicial court, you go in there to make a point and to prove yourself. And the judge doesn't necessarily say you can't use that. You can't use that kind of information. You make your point however you creatively can make your point. If you're suing someone or you're citing an injury, or if you're trying to get out of a parking ticket, right? Mm-hmm. You use your creative intelligence to step through that experience to your own greater benefit. Now, in the one way, we don't exactly want to attack all judicial systems and all these laws and governments that we set up by basically being taken to court by first infringing on it and then proving why you can, because that you basically start having to become some sort of guru to everybody, and they most people do not have the patience for an on-the-spot trying to tell me how reality works sort of guru-type approach.
Exactly.
So you can only speak to those that are asking for it, or really ready to go down that sort of rabbit hole. So addressing the courts and addressing the government face to face is probably not going to be the most exciting thing that you can choose to do. However, it's becoming easier and easier as each one of us is going through a spiritual journey of self-discovery. We are synchronistically finding others doing the same thing and feeling less lonely as we do this, and feeling more like, hey, I'm not the only one questioning reality here, am I? Thank you. I'm glad that also scientists are doing this. And so, where you transform synchronistically, you actually move to a world that is more accepting of what you're finding out about yourself. You see, every world exists. Everything from going to a world as seemingly real as like a movie like The Matrix or The Fifth Element or any kind of world, even Star Wars, all those worlds actually exist. That's the crazy thing that I found out that really blew my top. All these worlds really exist.
Well, that's what I'm finding with a lot of people I talk to is people's dreams are getting really crazy now. They're traveling different worlds, and because is dream time becoming more real now? Like, that's some of the questions I've been getting asked.
Well, first off, the dream worlds, they're real. Okay.
Okay.
But probably familiar with this idea that if I decide to change something, I can just change something, right?
Yeah.
So this dream worlds are reflective of lighter vibration worlds. And the lighter vibration worlds are kind of like physical echoes, okay, or trying on the pants in various ways of things that are done in dense worlds. We're in a dense world right now, okay? You and I are talking in a dense world. That means that a great amount of energy is amassed and put together and slammed together and seeing what sort of mysterious spicy soup we live in, okay?
Okay.
When you drink going to a soup that has less spices and less flavors, less rules, you can even say. And when you go there with your mind, and this is where you have like a lucid dream, okay?
Yeah.
You're going with part of you that's from here, from the very dense world. When you go there and you become conscious that you're in a dream, why is it you can change it all? Well, it's because you're actually a master of very thick tar soup. There, slinging energy around is a matter of just a thought. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
And, teleportation, that's a truth in this world. But you haven't mastered the density of the energy of this space. Okay?
Okay.
Monks being able to, slam their hands into hot burning ashes and not burning their hands. That's a skill that's not much different than flying or levitation. But it's a skill that's practiced by addressing energy. And most of the time, when you imagine yourself as a grain of salt in a big bowl of soup, and you want to make the soup overall more salty, well, just being one grain of salt is not going to make the salt ultimately more salty. In many ways, you need to sort of invite everyone around you and the soup and the consciousness of everything that's going on to say, you know what, wouldn't saltier soup or saltier experience be more enjoyable? And so everybody essentially begins to accept that as they begin to believe in the advantages for the reasons and why you bring that up. And they can be all in your heart. They don't have to be physically described. I mean, we could say, of course, living in nature and having, magic and manifestation abilities would be greater than what we have now. There's no contestation or argument with that. But at the same time, most people simply are not aware that that's even possible. They simply don't believe in magic.
Right, exactly.
They have almost no experience of it. And so many people that we'll say are amongst the light workers, starseed, awakening community, they're the people that are really interested in playing these new roles and these new explorations and these new games, encompassing new human technology. And really, many are getting the ticket that they're not here to fight the government so much. Many are, but many are here to literally say, let's just start changing the rules of physical reality by, playing with it. In one respect, there's the old adage from the Spider-Man films and comic books where Spider-Man is told with great power comes great responsibility. So your ability to be creator and to change everything that you know, like for instance, if I want to spontaneously combust my dinner table, that comes with a responsibility of having control over it. You don't want to be sitting there one day and somebody slaps you in the back and you sneeze and you just burn down your house.
Yeah.
There comes an energetic responsibility for all. Now, when I say all potentials, I mean all potentials. In order to consider all potentials and to become a master of anything that breaks the rules, you really have to be in that place of oneness where you accept all possibilities. So you accept burning your house down just as much as you accept accidentally burning your friend to a crisp, if that's the ability you wish to have. You have to accept all these and say then, okay, I accept the rules of the game, and I'll go forward and see how I do. Then you start gaining abilities. Then you start arranging contracts that support your interest to explore fundamentally different experiences. And then you find other people that have the same abilities. And you start working together, and you start training, and you start coming up with really good ground rules for how not to destroy the planet. Things like this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You start developing your own X-Men community, whatever, okay? And that is very certainly part of our future, those types of experiences. But at this time, many people are still focusing on the imposition to their creative expression by virtue of still using the blame game. The blame game is the most disempowering thing you can do for your own creative abilities, is the blame game. If you want to play the blame game correctly, own everything. Take everything. Say it's mine. Now, many people don't just do that overnight. They say, what? World poverty? That's mine? That's me? That exists because of me? Say yes. So there comes the next phase, which is don't be so hard on yourself. This is not as significantly dangerous a game as you might think it is. Sure, you know, you have a pistol, you can blow somebody's face off if you don't have the safety on by accidentally blow their face off. Say, oh my God, I am not ready to have a gun and accidentally blowing people's face off. That's why we don't give them to the children, because children have not said, hey, I'm ready to maybe shoot someone's face off. Okay? They're not ready to own that whole potential. And so it's a very grim thing to have that ability. That's why weapons are considered a very grim, powerful experience that in many ways is stuff we don't want to feel like, you know, everyone's in jeopardy. If everyone had a gun, this could be either a fantastic world or a very scary one.
Yeah.
It'd be fantastic because now we know no one need tread in front of my way, or the better gunslinger shall prevail. Right?
Yeah.
So there are worlds that are like that, where combat is the name of the game, and it's all about, you know, combat. And traditional ancient societies did, you know, that was the law of the land, you know, survival of the fittest. You know, who can, you know, it could be just kung fu even. It doesn't even have to be guns. It doesn't have to be tools. It could be your own body as a weapon. These things are times past. They're not as valuable an experience in today's world. I mean, sure, you can say, let's get everybody to learn kung fu on YouTube, and now everyone can kick each other's ass, and now we change to a system of who can kick each other's ass more, and who can take each other's money because, you know, this one's better at getting lunch money from someone versus somebody else. That's not the world we want, and so that's why it's not like that right now.
Right, okay.
Okay. That's why in the 80s, the gangs and the fighting and living in the inner cities, that's why most of us don't get in fights with inner city gangs, okay? It's not like it's a big excitement for us to have that, you know? And so what we do is we play it down, is we loosen up those vibrations. And when I say playing down, I don't mean go and, you know, start pissing off a bunch of, you know, inner city gangs. But what I mean is we have things like comedy, and we have things that diffuse the intensity of the vibration that makes us feel like it's this way, you know? In this time and age, we should feel practically ready to go up and be confronted by a gang member or something like that in an inner city and be able to talk them out of this, because we can connect. We have our ability of empathy and speaking to their heart and speaking to what they really want, not just their survival instincts. We all have this ability to touch someone inside, and that is a profound form of communication, as a profound form of making a change in the world, and being able to touch someone in their heart. Now, you know, many different ways, you know, we choose to do this, and it's accepted, but many ways it's not practiced. And so when we're coming closer to touching someone, it works really well when you want to touch someone's heart, when you expose your own heart, when you, as an example, demonstrate your own vulnerability. It's like, don't expect anyone else to change. before you show them that it's a good idea through you doing it yourself. Be the example. You want somebody to follow the golden rules the way you said? Well, show them that the golden rule fundamentally provides a more exciting experience, you see. So it's like literally be the evidence, be the grounding of which you want to see in this world, and that is how it happens. And the world changes. It may not be like, well, I only was nice to my neighbor, so I don't think my neighbor is going to go out and be a nice guy to everybody else. I've just changed the world by changing one person. Actually, it has very little to do with the literal, incidental experiences you have. You, through the benefit of feeling like you've done something that excites you, and you feel like you've done something right, you are now vibrating. You're vibrating, and that changes the world. You literally are a different person inside because now you believe you're a different person. As you believe you're a different person, that goes out. That vibrates. That is what is the 100th monkey truth. Because you are an antenna of energy. Your world is created around you by virtue of the way that you are vibrating. So you see that you're great, you'll attract great people to you. You say, I am worthless, you're not going to meet people that are anyone other than feeling worthless.
That's very true.
So, you want to meet celebrities and feel awesome and beneficial? Well, many people who go to Hollywood, who choose to live there, they say, I want to meet a celebrity. They have this game that goes on, like, how many celebrities have you met? Okay?
Right.
It really turns out as the ones that say, I'm no different from them. They're just people. And they have faults and problems just like I do. And when you bring them to a human level, all of a sudden it's very easy to meet them. Because when you have an interaction with them, you're not glorifying their experience as touting as something more important in you. Like the idolization to a ridiculous degree. Idolization is great because it can be very inspirational. But idolization to the point where you're sort of choosing a new master is counter to your own productive self-growth discovery of your mastery over your reality.
Right.
So, anyhow, as you probably can guess, I could talk about this for quite some time.
Yeah, you talk about a lot of things, eh? You're very good at explaining a lot of stuff.
Thank you.
There's a lot of touched on a lot of things that I would have asked you anyway, so that was very good.
Well, where would you like to go now? I can probably go for maybe about another half hour.
Okay, yeah, about another half hour. It'd be great if you can. Well, you mentioned to me on a private message about Cloud9.
Yes.
I was just wondering about that.
So we have a first impression of the word Cloud9, right?
Yep.
A preconceived idea of what Cloud9 is. And before having that experience of experiencing Cloud9, which is basically like an actual cloud above the earth, I kind of never thought about the idea. I never stirred it in my mind. I never considered it. I never realized it. And when I had the experience, I didn't know it as Cloud9. It basically got explained to me, this is the real Cloud9. I was like, oh, this is where all the ideas of Cloud9 originally came from. This is the source experience where it all came from. I said, well, what do we have here? We have heaven? And I said, yeah, sort of, but not really. I was like, well, is this where people come when they die? I was like, oh, yeah, they come here when they die. I was like, okay, so am I dead? Oh, no, definitely not dead. You're alive. And I said, well, what does that mean? Does that mean I come here, as like a way station between lives? I was like, yeah, you do. I kept trying to ask these questions through those connections that I had made, people there. And it became abundantly clear that there actually is no death process. that the death process is another significant illusion.
Right.
Actually, Cloud 9 was the culmination of a great deal of disillusioning actual death, physical death. So I may want to quickly explain my personal place where I am with that.
Yeah.
And that will help you have a greater discussion about the Cloud 9 experience I had.
Okay.
So first off, reality is much more like the movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray than it appears to be. As I've been living, I don't know if the people listening to this are familiar with not, but one of my greatest changes in my life came when I started studying energy, and I developed the ability to see auras on everything,
right,
all the time. Like shadows that are cast by light and, directional sources. It's just this common experience. This D-drip in my pineal gland or something.
Okay.
And it has times where it's more amplified or not. So I already had this idea that, wow, there's a lot more going on than we normally give our senses credit for being aware of. And I started finding that a lot of these energies that I saw were contextual. So if I actually changed my mind about something, the visual would change. So I would look at a plant and I say, "Are you alive?" And I would get like this sort of like tingling yellow or pink or whatever it is. I get like a color that sort of like vibrates and shimmers, kind of like the shimmering heat off the pavement on a hot summer day, right?
Yeah.
Sort of like a wavy light energy thing. And I began to say, okay, I started making these conclusions. This. When I see this color, this is what it means. When I make this color, this is what it means. This is why when I see this color, this is what it means. And funny enough, immediately after I did that, all sorts of things around me changed colors. And I said, "Oh, come on. I thought I knew what I was talking about." But in fact, I simply decided what the colors were going to mean. I decided what they were going to be. And my default system of what the colors meant changed, and the subtleties of the colors actually became what I said that they were going to mean. So in fact, I had a more intuitive color calibration, and I said, "Oh, for goodness sake, let's just go back to the old way. I don't want to start trying to reprogram what I think of things. It was appropriate whatever I was getting before." And so I sit around looking at colors. I don't know what it means. I have to sort of investigate and feel my way into that to find things out. So I had this place where things were not so just physical, right? Mm-hmm. Sensing energy, feeling energy. This became more a part of my interest. But in the end, you don't even have to practice that. You just have to realize that there's a lot more going on than what your regular five senses give you. And your sixth sense can help you get there, though it's not even necessary. Just being open to it, because that sense simply helps you guide yourself there. It's kind of like, you can walk through a room that's dark and memorize how to do things. You can. You don't need to have the lights on. But, if you have the lights on, then you can more easily do it the first time ago, right? First time around. Mm-hmm. So that was a level of disillusionment. Part of the illusion of reality came down, and I got to live it day to day and experiment with it. The next thing came on was death, and finding out that death was actually, and you have to take it from me, came from many, many different synchronicities and all sorts of stuff.